Hi, Birgitta. My name is Nicolette. I am the creator for the podcast titled You're Worthless. Read that again. The juxtaposition of your very soul. First off, thank you so much for reaching out with your story through Podmatch, and I cannot wait to have you on the show. So, first off, I'd like to read a bit of introduction about yourself to our listeners, yeah, and then we can deep dive into your story. Okay. So, hi, everybody. We have Brigitta here. She is a soul empowerment coach, divine channel, and light language healer, delivering messages from the many light beings, capital BE, to the aid of humanity in the hope that people will awaken to what life is all about. She has a profound knowledge of ancient wisdom that has over the years bubbled from deep within and has emerged as an inspirational channel, having been submerged in her own traumatic experiences and having chosen to overcome these. So she is simply here to offer her words as food for thought in unlocking our potential and becoming authentically ourselves while journeying back to the unfolding of the beautiful lotus of the light of who we are. Life is like the sound of music. You've got to dance before the music stops and live a little before life is over.
Mhm.
So, Brigitta, what was it like growing up as yourself?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. Um,
Pleasure.
so what was it like growing up? It was like up and down, up and down, up and down. It was like a roller coaster.
Oh my God. Okay,
But
can you unpack that for us? Like,
yes,
how
I'll
was it?
unpack it for you. I think my childhood in general, was okay up to the age of about probably 10, about 10 or 11, because that's when the abuse kicked in from a friend of the family in Malaysia, in KL.
Really?
Yeah, it was a business partner from my dad, and we had to move, so we stayed with this person temporarily. And yeah, it wasn't like sexual. It was, and I'm very open about this, because I don't have that fear or that shame label anymore. I think we should be able to talk about things without having that shame factor or that fear factor involved. And it was, through his clothes, but it was consistently for probably several months until we left. And that just messes when you're like 10 years old, Nicolette, that messes with your head.
Yeah.
It wasn't just that. There was also like a teacher at the garden school who taught Bahasa Malay,
Mm-hmm.
and my sister was also in that class, and he would rub right up against my legs, completely under my dress. And
Really?
yeah, my sister told my parents, and I remember this as clear as it was yesterday, because the principal asked me to come in and I had to write everything down that had happened. Now that for a 10-year-old is very traumatizing. You
Yeah.
just, it's, and even though the principal said to me, you haven't done anything wrong, the teacher got fired. How do you explain that to a 10-year-old?
Yeah.
And so that was tough. And then I had, the abuse. And after after that, when we moved, we stayed probably for another, I think it was another year or so before we left back for Holland. It's an interesting story that I never really talk about, which is very, very different, because I knew Mahathir, the former prime minister from
Yeah.
Malaysia. And my dad, a true story, um, he used to come horse riding past our home in Jalan Ampang every single Sunday. And my sister and I would run outside and we'd go, "Good morning, Dr. Mahathir. How are you? Apa kabar?" And he would always just stop and say, "Hi." And, have a beautiful Sunday, something along the lines of that. Now,
Right.
our landlord, I mean, my parents' landlord, they also knew, and landlady, they also knew Mahathir. And
Mhm.
we were invited to an event at his house. And
Right.
so we went. And my
Yeah.
dad was very much into agricultural projects, and poultry farming. And so what he did was, he went up to Dr. Mahathir and he was stopped by the security guards after the event. And, we were with him. And he said, no, it's okay, it's okay. And so my dad gave him a proposal. And that proposal was to grow potatoes up in either, I think it was Genting Highlands. And this was many, many years ago. And funnily enough, when I was writing my book and I was doing the research, I was floored because it's filled with greenhouses now, and they do grow potatoes. And it was just like, dang, Mahati, why couldn't you just offer my dad a job? That's all he wanted. You took his freaking proposal, right?
Yeah. And
And
gave
you
it.
cut him,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I know he's still alive. He's in his 90s now. But
Yeah.
I
Very
was
much
just I
so.
was yeah, I was really, really floored. I was just like, you take that proposal and you just don't get back in touch. I mean, my dad died in
I'm so sorry.
1988, so it's
Hmm.
a long time ago. So that was probably a good 6 months later that he crossed over. But it just blows my mind that he actually did do something with that proposal and kept the credit for himself.
Oh my God. Okay, I gotta take a moment right now because I never thought our paths would cross. Like, can you imagine? Like, you didn't know I was Malaysian, right? I didn't
No,
know that
I
you.
didn't.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't know that you. I'm talking about that right now. This is just amazing. I believe that there's something more here. Okay, I'm definitely keeping you in touch. We're definitely in each other's radar right now.
Yes.
Okay, so so that means so when did you leave? At what age did you leave Malaysia then?
I was 13, nearly 14, and so we went back to Holland and we left everything behind because there was no more money in the kitty. And my dad had been bankrupt for a while, and the Dutch consulate actually kept helping us out. At a certain moment in time, they just, said, no more, we can't help you anymore. And so we went back, left everything behind, and just took with us what fit in the suitcase. And I remember saying goodbye to my dolls, my favorite dolls, because I couldn't take them with me. So, and then we got to Holland, and my dad died several months later of cardiac arrest. And he'd always said, if ever I cross the ocean, I will not make it. But he refused to take his medication because he really thought he could cure himself. And whilst I am a great believer of that, you will also need to understand that you need to resolve your trauma. You can meditate as much as you like, Nicolette, but if you do not resolve your trauma, then you remain within that same, I call that same frequential energy system, so to speak, because the energy within doesn't change. So how can it actually change without? So when you suffer from any kind of dis-ease, or as people like to call it disease, and I call it
Yeah,
dis-ease because it's a
disease.
dis-ease
Yeah.
within you that you have created. And for me, so when I lost my dad, that really shook me to my core. That was the first time at 14 years of age that I suffered from a headache. And I really wished that the next day it had just been a dream, but it wasn't. And we stayed at my grandma's for a while, my mom's mom, until we got allocated a council flat. And, my mom, I have so much respect for my mom because my dad left her with nothing except a debt. And she worked part time and took care of two teenagers. We walked around in secondhand clothes. I didn't care. It's right. It's better than walking around naked, right?
Yeah.
So, and at school, I mean, life was different in Holland. At school in KL, people wore uniforms, so there is no differentiation. And in Holland, that was different. And I was skin over bones. I used to just throw away my lunch. I just didn't want to eat it. I was really good at that. And I was skinny anyway, but I was scared of boys. I really was so scared of boys. If there was a guy in the hallway and my classroom was at the end of that hallway, I'd find a different route to get to that classroom. That's how frightened I was. And I think that was so ingrained with me because of everything that happened. And this was back in the 1980s. And as I always say, life was so different. You weren't as open, you didn't talk about it. I didn't even understand it. And it only was like 10 years later that nearly 10 years later, that I told my mom when I was 19 what happened in Malaysia, because we were watching an episode of the Oprah Winfrey show about abuse.
Yeah.
And I kept my mouth shut, and that's when it came out. But the more my mom prodded, the less I wanted to talk about it. And and that's just the way I'd always been. I'd shut it in, I'd potted it up. And even when my mom, when I was 16 years old, she put me on this modeling course. Now that just didn't work for me because I was carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders, but I hadn't healed anything.
Yeah.
I put everything away in the archives of my mind, as I always say, because
Yeah.
that's what we do. Any traumatic experience that we go through, we store in the archives of our minds. So that's a little hypothalamus. And when something happens or we meet someone, it's like, oh, we become like a Miss or Mr. Porcupine because, oh, whoa, what's happened to us in the past? Oh, well, this is how I should react because this is how it's stored in my mind. And if you've healed that aspect or certain traumatic experiences, you don't have this porcupine attitude anymore because it's gone. But yes, so what happened there was quite well. I mean, it's rather funny looking back at it now. But a hairdresser picked me out from this modeling this modeling course that I was doing, and he's like, "Oh, would you like to be the main model in my show?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Paid like 75 guilders. Beats me how much that is now because it doesn't exist anymore. And well, I had hair till here, till my shoulders, and he cut it in a pixie cut. Well, you can. Oh my gosh, I was feeling horrified. I was feeling so insecure. I mean, I was already feeling worthless. I was already feeling, so insecure. I just went down the chute at that point. I did walk the show, but I wish my hair would grow. That's all I kept thinking. I want my hair to grow back. And of course, that took months.
Oh my,
So,
oh
yeah.
my God, Brigitta, hearing your story it just moved me. You have gone through so much. I think I know you have healed, but I, I'd like to, and I don't know why I feel like I want to give you a hug right now.
Ah, thank you.
Well, I think a lot of people can definitely learn something from this, a thing or two. And that's also the reason why I started this podcast, because everybody has their own experiences in life, and I
Yeah.
think yours is definitely unique. And for you to be able to come out on the other side healed and trying to light the path for other people as well, that's just beautiful.
And
So
I will say this, with any experience that you go through, people say, people can say, well, you got to do it this way, you got to live your life that way. No, you have to live it according in agreement and in alignment with your own spirit. There is no right or wrong in how you decide to experience life. Come on, I've suffered from donkey syndrome. I've done incredibly silly things. I could have killed myself when my stepdad passed away in 2000 because I hung out with the wrong crowd of friends. But, at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my own life. I blacked out because I took too many ecstasy tablets. I did coke for like 3 months, and I just wanted the pain to go away because my mom was leaning on me, and people were always used to see, and they still have this certain what do you call it? Uh, People like to see you a certain way. So for me, it was
perception.
always, yeah, it was
Mm.
always, Brigitta is happy.
Um,
And I could talk about the death of my stepdad for like 2 minutes, and then it was like, oh, finished. And so I just kind of like just wanted to fit in, just not feel the pain. And so, yeah, I used it recreationally, you could say. I had sex on drugs. I didn't even know that it was happening to me because I was so far gone. And that's something that I had to come to terms with. And it took me it took me quite a few years. Um, but yeah, from that, of course, because I was still trying to figure life out, I rolled into toxic relationships. They were very dysfunctional. But everything that you go through, everyone that you meet is a mirror image.
Oh,
And
that's
so
so true.
everyone is a teacher. And if you view life from that point of view, from that perspective, you see life through a different lens. I didn't always see it that way because it was like, why is this happening to me? Do I not deserve to be happy? My guides were going, the universe is going, yeah, of course you deserve to be happy, but how are you going to get yourself out of this experience? And so,
Yeah.
did I make the same mistake as I'd like to call it twice? Sure, I did. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. You grow in your own time.
Wow. I'm speechless. Like I have a whole question, and then it's like I think you've addressed most of them, but okay, let's go through it one by one. So, um, because the essence of my podcast is about self-worthiness, and this is a question where we I'm gonna touch on being existing in this time and space. So, in your opinion, why do you think we are here? What is our purpose in life?
What's our purpose in life? Wait, can I just close the door before I
Yeah,
answer that?
sure, sure, sure.
The
No
noise?
problem. Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. Why are we here? Yeah,
Yes.
that's very easy to answer for me. Although I had to figure it out. We're
I bet
here
I bet the period to figure it out was like all through the years,
years.
right? And then yeah. Okay, can you give us your wisdom?
Well, we're here to return to a love for ourselves and each other. That's one. We're here to also learn how to manipulate the energies,
Hmm.
making them work in our favor, because we don't always realize that we are energy. We're not this organic blob, this
Yeah,
human body. We're the
yeah,
spirit within this human body. We are energy. And
that's right.
so we are divine alchemists. That is what we are. And people are like, yeah, but I do not create my reality. Well, my dear, actually, you do. We all create our reality. And it doesn't mean life is always a bed of roses. It merely means that whatever you go through, become conscious of what you go through rather than remaining in that conditioned programming. There's a big difference between thinking consciously and becoming aware of your experiences rather than just, steamrolling through them and doing as you've always done.
Can you break it down, the difference between the two,
Yes.
please?
So we are conscience creator. We create consciously, right? That's what we
Yeah,
do. Many
that's right.
people are not aware that we create consciously because they normally just do their thing, their everyday thing, and some will remain. The very big difference is when you become aware of your experiences, that's when you become conscious of everything.
Mm.
That's the big difference. So if you remain in, for instance, that victim mentality mode of why is this happening to me rather than why is this happening for me, that's the difference.
So, what would you say to people who have just started their healing journey? What do you, what would you suggest they do? Like, I, I think everybody's at different stages of their
Yep.
journey in this life. They might not even be fully awakened in this lifetime. That's why they probably need to come back.
Yes.
But right now, though, anybody who's in that um, timeline, what do you, what do you, how would you recommend them to go about it?
If they're commencing with their healing journey or just starting, that's
Mm-hmm.
what you're asking, right? Yeah.
Yes.
First of all, oh my gosh, I have so much respect for people that commence on their healing journey. I mean, honestly, I could embrace them. I can say, I love you because I do. And
Mm-hmm.
you have to do whatever path you choose, make sure that it aligns with your spirit. But if you want some advice that will really help you along the way, and it's helped many people, and I absolutely love him. But if you're really flustered or anxious, and you just want to recenter yourself, listen to meditations by David G. So David and then J.I. On YouTube. And he does a lot of meditations on fear, anxiety, returning to the center of self. Um, and all you need to do is just plug in your headphones and that's it. But if you get really stuck, just reach out to somebody. And I think that's really important. And also when you commence on your healing journey, you've looked in the mirror and said to yourself, I'm taking accountability for my life because I deserve to be happy. Often enough we allow the opinions of others to, to
Loud.
mull around. Yeah.
Mm.
And it mulls around in our mind. And it's like, why? I've done it. Honestly, I have done it. I have allowed myself to be treated like a doormat year in and year out because I was so afraid to hurt other people. But at the end of the day, Nicolette, I was the only one that was hurting myself. And that's why for years I starved myself because that was the only thing that I could control. And I worked like a maniac because I was playing Houdini with my emotions. That's how I kept myself afloat. So was I in that victim mentality? Yeah, at times I was saying, you know what, why is it happening to me? Why can't I just be happy? Why can I not just be happy? I look at other people and it's like they don't have to go through this crap. And but the more challenges that are bowled our way, as I like to put it, the more opportunity we have to grow. We have for growth. And that is so, so important because the more you understand life and all that you've been through, the easier the flow of your life becomes.
Interested in your, because you mentioned about toxic relationships.
Yes.
This is, I think, I particularly would want to know, and probably some of the listeners as well. So, could you share with us your journey and what kind of people were you attracted to, and how uh, how were your experiences with these people, and at what point did you realize that enough is enough, and
Mm.
what were the steps that you took to get yourself out of that?
Oh, it took me many, many years in several relationships. Uh,
Okay.
the first one, you're gonna laugh at this. My
Oh no,
first relationship.
I'll be the last person to judge because
Oh,
I'm
no,
divorced.
no, don't
I'm
worry.
divorced myself, so
I look back on all my relationships. First of all, I look back on all my relationships before I start, and I love every single one of them because how can I not? I've forgiven myself, I've forgiven them because they were
correct.
incredible teachers to my then very naive spirit. And
Ooh,
so,
that's
and
very
they know
powerful.
that I still speak to some of them. Um, and I wish them every bit of happiness. I really, really do. But my first one was, I was 21 and a half and I was in Istanbul. And so I went out with a Turkish guy, but oh my gosh, I was as green as grass. I had no clue about men. And like I said, I just was afraid of hurting the other person.
Would you
And
say you healed at that point? Because you said when you were back in Holland, you were afraid of boys, right? And how
yeah,
did you
so
open up?
oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So this is something. So this is also, I wrote about this in my book. I talk about vaginismus, where women that have suffered traumatic experiences have issues with sexual intercourse because the trauma is so ingrained. They are very scared to open up, and so they clamp up when having sexual intercourse.
Right.
Something I didn't know at the time, many, many years later, probably early 40s and 30s, early 40s, that I found out. And it's such a taboo subject, and it shouldn't be a taboo subject. But okay, so that was an art. I mean, that already went wrong, that relationship. I tried, it was probably my longest for 3 years, even though I was in the UK for a year, because my mom said, after I returned from Istanbul, you are going to do a study. No, I want to go. No, you're going to do a study. So I took the shortest possible course, a secretarial course. I wanted to fly.
Just to fulfill her wish and then go.
Then I had to apply. I did apply to work for Virgin Airways as a stewardess. I also did Gulf Air, but for Gulf Air, I was too tall. And so for Virgin, I was invited. And my mother did not scoop up that letter. I scooped up that letter, because if my mom had seen that letter, she would have chained me to the bedpost and said, "You're going. You are not going to Germany to be with this guy," because he moved from Istanbul back to Germany. But
Right.
I scooped up that letter. So off I went to Germany. But it went wrong. It just, I didn't love myself, because what did I understand about loving myself? I didn't. And so often when we have relationships, when we go into relationships, it's like this freaking legal contract with so many clauses that keep on being added, because people do not love each other unconditionally, because we're raised
Mm,
in a certain way. We're raised according to the beliefs of our parents and this social paradigm. And,
expectations.
yeah. And it's just like, you have to be a certain way. No, you don't. You have to just be you. Who cares what people think about you? You have to be comfortable in how you feel about you. That's the most important thing. And people try to conform and try to mold themselves, try to fit in. Why? Why? You're not going to feel happy and peachy within your own skin when you keep molding yourself and trying to transform into something that, into something that you're not. It's so important to just be yourself. But it took me many years as well, and many relationships, well, several. I mean, the one in 2009 was that really shook me to my core. And I think that was needed, because my ex was a crack addict. And I didn't know that, because he was like a part-time crack addict, and he hid it so well. And so I bought him a plane ticket. Yeah, to come to
Wow.
Holland, and he
I
stayed with
totally,
me
I
for,
get it.
yeah,
I
stay
used
with
to be
me.
like that too.
Stay with me
Okay.
for several months, but I was working my socks off, and he's like, "Oh, I couldn't get a job." I'm sorry, Nicolette. You can put me in the freaking desert, and I will still find a job, because that is my attitude towards life.
Mm,
And if you want something, you will always find something, because that is what you put out there to the universe. So you manifest that.
that's so
And
true.
even when I was living in New York, and I was bartending, I was doing the odd modeling job, I was hostessing, and I was doing promotional work. Yeah, because that was just me. It was like 7 days a week. So, but there was in Holland, and yeah, I mean, I never seen someone so off their head, so in pain, with crack hands. And he pawned some of my stuff. He landed in bed with the Crips, the Dutch Crips in Holland. And it just, I mean, I tried to get him to, he wanted to get help, but you needed like, in the US, you have like a social security number. And so
Right.
he needed that for Holland as well. And so they wouldn't take him in. And because he'd stolen from the Crips, they held him for ransom. They found him, held him for ransom. And at the end of the day, I mean, I helped the police out and they found him and they deported him back to the States. But I'd already moved back to the UK, close to my mom, because she got me out of Holland in the space of like 2 or 3 days. And the police said to her that we're dealing with this case, they said, this is the best thing you can do for your daughter. Little did I know that over the many years, they built a massive prosecution case against the leader of the Crips in Holland. And he called me up and he threatened me with my life. He said, if I ever find you, I will kill you. And he said, if I ever find your ex, you can guarantee, I guarantee you that he'll be lying dead in a ditch somewhere where you will never find him. And that was just, I was at breaking point. I really, really was at breaking point. And I tried to take my own life by downing a whole box of ibuprofens when I was in the UK, and that didn't work for me. I just woke up, headache gone, and I had like 12 hours sleep. And my mom just said to me, Birgitta, why don't you go and see a counselor? I did go and see a counselor, but it didn't work for me because she listened to my whole story and she just said to me, you're going to be fine. You're strong enough. You'll manage. And I just walked out of there. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to try the holistic route. Because I used to read cards for people throughout the years. And so I found, yeah, tarot. And I used
I'm
to,
into tarot too. Part of my healing journey was tarot as well.
yes.
Yes. Oh god, we have so many parallels. Okay, it's really
So
interesting.
I found, I didn't come to Earth with a cheat sheet around my neck. We got to figure it all out. So I found a Reiki healer, and she was just amazing. She really, really was, and she helped me so much. And I also studied Reiki level 1 and 2 under her, which took about, I think, just over a year to complete because, I had to do all my case studies, self-healing and case studies. And I studied many other healing modalities, like the emotional freedom technique, which is really powerful. It's tapping the
EFT.
emotions. Yep,
Yeah.
tapping the emotions out of your system so that you can just talk about the memory without being traumatized or re-traumatized by it. So powerful, yet such a simple technique. And I saw some amazing results when I was working with clients. But I became a meditation teacher as well. Studied holistic nutrition, so many other healing modalities because I was just like a little SpongeBob absorbing everything. And when I moved several years later, when I moved to St. Petersburg in Florida, I did learn from that one relationship that, let me hit rock bottom, but then I got another version.
It's so it's so ironic that you can actually laugh about it after so many years. That means
Yeah, I can. I can because yeah, I mean, come on. We're not gonna get out of this life. We're not gonna get a life out of this current life anyway. And when we
that's
go
true.
back up there, it's like, well, let's go
Let's
through your life review and see how you've done, how you've coped.
yeah.
So,
Let's see
yes,
your film. Play. Oh, you did not. Oh, let's see. Oh, this year. Ooh, you messed up that way. So, what did you learn?
I
I can
did.
imagine. Yeah. So, how was it? Was that difficult? You tasted your own medicine, right? I could imagine. The universe talking to
Yes.
me like that. So,
That's so funny you mentioned about a taste of your own medicine because I've gotten that so often. And it's only because what happens is when we are in a relationship, what people often do, mea culpa, I've done it. It's like, you want the other person to be happy. You will do anything. You will walk to the ends of the earth and then some for that person.
just
Oh,
take a bullet
really?
for him.
And where are you going to end up then? Well, I ended up in hell because because I lost myself along the way
Along the way.
because I
Mm.
wanted to help these people. I wanted to find them jobs. I wanted to do everything for them because they didn't seem capable. Whereas for me, it was like super easy.
Yeah.
But you have to allow for others to walk their own journey. You have to walk your own journey, because if you don't, if you keep helping and helping and helping, it's like you're enabling the other person, even though you don't consciously realize that, but you do stump their growth as much as you
Yeah.
stump your own growth. And it's so important for other people to walk their journey. Let go of the reins. Stop
Yeah.
controlling another person. Let them walk their journey. And I mean, the one in Florida, I mean, he lost his mom, bless his cotton socks. He was very needy. He had a fear of losing me. He moved up from 1 hour away to 2 doors down from the place that I had bought. He he was really, he suffered from depression as well. He had a reckless, and he was, something, he couldn't afford the lawyer. It got messy because I had to help him. I had to pay his bills as well as my own. He just kept coming around to my house, and I didn't want that. And there were times that I would cry on the floor, screaming at the universe, why? Why is this happening to me? I can't go on like this anymore. And I actually sold my home that I had poured blood, sweat, and tears into, and bought another home, which was a bit of a money pit just to get away. But it it took me several years, and when I was really screaming at the universe, that's when I started to listen. Yeah, just because I taught Reiki to my students
Mm.
didn't mean I was going through crap of my own. I was
Yeah.
great
Oh, that is,
teaching
yeah.
others. I was great at teaching and giving
Oh,
workshops in
yeah.
meditative art and pendulums and all that stuff. Because in ways it helped me as well. But I really needed to. I was so exasperated. I was so down in the dumps, and that, one day it was like, oof, the light switch, went on. And they sent me a breadcrumb. The universe, my guides, sent me a breadcrumb in the form of kambo healing, which is shamanic healing. And
Right.
it was my sister. I'm not in touch with my sister now. We are on two different trajectories, but I love her. I will always love her. Um, she has her life and I have mine. But I went to see a shaman several hours away in Florida. I had no idea what to expect, because when I go for a healing session, I want to know as little as possible, because I want to be open to whatever it is, whatever kind of healing I need to receive. Well, I'm going to tell you, this was pretty physical. I was sitting there across the shaman, and I had to, he asked me about my intention, why I was here. And so I said, I wanted to heal. And yeah, what he did was, it's shaman. I mean, Kambo um, is the monkey tree frog. I call it monkey tree frog, from the Amazonians, in the Amazonian jungle. And what they do is, the shaman, they scrape the poison from the back of the monkey frog, and they keep that. The frogs do not die. They don't die. Okay. And so he burned like four, sometimes they do 4 points in your arms, but he burned 4 points on my leg, just below the knee. And then he put the frog poison on those 4 points. And then I thought, oh God, what's going to happen? And I had to drink 2 liters of water as well along the way. I hate drinking water, but I did it. And oh my gosh, as soon as he put the points on, 10 seconds later, it was like, oh, I was purging. I was feeling so ill. And, because
Oh,
I had a big bucket next to me, and I had to run up and down the toilet because it just comes out everywhere. That's how physical it is. It's a total cleanser. It really purges. but it was like my ego was battling me so much.
Yeah.
And that's why it took 4 hours. It's like my ego's like, no, 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 I'm in control. I'm in control. And my soul was, you bugger, you bugger. I want to be back in the seat. I want to be back in the driver's seat. So it was like this battle going on. And that's something that he told me later. And that's why he said it took you about 4 hours. I mean, I did it 2 more times. But the beauty about this treatment was that I just, I was so clear in my mind that I made a whole bucket list and stuck it on my fridge. And some of the first thing that I put on there, like I promised my stepdad in 2000 that I would start running for charity for cancer because he crossed over from cancer. And yeah, I guess that remained a figment of my imagination just running in my mind, for 16 years. And then I started doing it. I just started doing it. I have a big thing about heights, and I went skydiving. I was so glad the ground, but I did it. I did it. Um, I went hang gliding. That was fun as well. But a week or two later, like Spirit kicked me out, and they said, you need to go to this fair. And I'm like, I don't want to go. You're going. And so I went, and it was 10 minutes up the road, not even. And that's where I met my former mentor, Alania Starhawk, who does Akashic record healing. And for people that don't know it, Akashic record healing is about it's about walking through your past lives and clearing the karma. And that was so, so powerful to me because with my then ex in Florida who wouldn't leave me alone, it like boom, it
Click.
just cleared the energy. Because in a past life, he was like a charlatan. He was a charmer in the Middle Ages, and I was pretty well off. I had my own business, which was pretty unusual uh, in that time. I can't remember exactly what it was. I do remember opening up all these little drawers, so I guess it must have been herbs. But he poisoned me with an arsenic, very very slow.
Oh,
And that's one of the reasons that I didn't understand that I was suffering so terribly from stomach
sub.
aches. Yeah,
Oh,
and I
okay.
couldn't eat, so I lost a lot of weight. I was literally skin over bones. And that's a picture I still have, and that's not, I honestly do not ever want to look like that again. Um, and so she cleared that because sometimes we take remnants of our past lives into this life. And there were some other lifetimes that she cleared as well. So it was very, very powerful. But what happened after that is that his energy changed because he left me alone to finally sort out his life. And I could continue with mine. The beauty of it is like a year later, he said to me, he's like, you were the best thing that ever happened to me. You made me realize so many things, and I have grown so much because of you. And that was just, that's just beautiful. I love it when people grow. He sorted out his whole life. He's got his own place now. He's got a good job. And I'm just happy for him that he was able to sort out his life. And sometimes we have to, when you are in such a dysfunctional relationships, uh, sometimes you need to hit that um, rock
Rock bottom.
bottom. Yeah. In order to be able to see that, there's always, as my dad always used to say, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, but you just got to keep walking. You just need to heal. You got to heal up. There is no point in remaining in that trauma. There's no point in that bitterness. There honestly isn't. You've got to forgive each other and just say, you know what, it's not been the best, but it's been so educational, and I love you for having been a part of my life.
I felt that.
Yeah.
Thank
And then I
you,
went,
Birgitta.
yeah. I mean, so if you are in a relationship and it's not working out, then either you work on it, but the most important aspect is that you work on yourself and that you love yourself enough if it doesn't work out to walk away. And just as Saint Germain, who I work a lot with, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, always says, just take a deep bow in gratitude, but let one another go.
Ooh, let's sink in. Just take a deep bow and let one another go.
Yep. Deep bow and gratitude.
It's so funny because just before I got on the call with you, I was talking to two friends from Sabah. They're my close friends from high school. So um we were just last weekend we were just talking about our relationship, like how it was. We never imagined after 10 years we thought that our life would be sorted by 30. Right now, an example, me, I got what I wanted things in terms of my career, but that threw me life threw me a curveball with my divorce, and then I threw myself to work, and I had burn I suffered burnout and depression, and that's how I started my healing. And then my friend, she has been in and out of relationships where she
Yes.
stayed for 9 years, and it was shitty, but she said she loved the person so much. It's just she couldn't see any other way. Right now, she just entered a new relationship, and of course, there's this remnants of her feeling the guy is everything that she's ever wanted, but she feels at times that she doesn't deserve him. Like it's too good to be true. And then another person, another friend, she got a little bit tangled with another relationship where the party is attached. So that's it is it's so ironic, but like I was just telling them about my story about how I went into different modalities in terms of healing, and then they started hearing me saying about everything about how you create your reality just literally hours ago. And then one said, okay, Nick, send me what anything that you know, just send me. Okay, I said, I'll send you some. It's a rabbit hole afterwards, but I promise you it's going to be worth the journey. But at any time, if you want to discuss anything with me, bounce some ideas, let's do it. And then the other one, he says, oh, I'm so lazy, Nick. Can you just can you just tell me the story? Like I said, no, I'm serious. I love you, but you've got to do the work yourself. You
Yes.
see, because when you said just now about we're on different journey, we're on
Yep.
different trajectory, stages of our, I would say, awakening, right? Like
Yep.
really looking inwards. So it's this is just all clicking up. Like this is why I love this topic so much. It's like, oh, I cannot brag about how wonderful it is at this point of my life. I'm able to at least get a glimpse of what everything is. Like I don't know. Sometimes when I talk to my parents, they'll be like, they probably think like, I think they love me. I love them. But you can tell when you talk to somebody, you're not on the same wavelength.
Yep.
But nevertheless, we're family. We love them. But there's certain things that you want to go. They cannot see that future, that
Yep.
thing, and it's like, yeah, we wish you the best. Knock, anak, right? We wish you the best, but it's like, okay, I'm in this journey, but I have full faith in the universe.
Yes.
I don't know. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sounding like a broken record, or everything is
No,
jumping
no,
out right now.
no, absolutely not. But it's funny about family. So I just have my mom, of course, now. My mom, I love her to bits. We're very close, but anything on the spiritual side, whatever I do, she doesn't believe in. She'll believe in
Yeah,
mediumship. That's where the buck stops. And you know
right,
what? I don't love her any
right.
less. Why should I? We don't always have
Exactly.
to. If we believed all the same things, life would be very dull. We're all unique
Mm.
individuals. Yes, we're all, the energy within us is all the same. I always say that our physical appearance is merely the difference, that's what's different about us. But the soul within our house, within our body is the same. We don't always see that because it's like, you're from that country, you're from that country. Yeah, but we're still all the same.
That's right.
We've just chosen to be born in, in a different nationality. But I always say that that's the big divide. Everything was designed to be this way, and everything was designed to be this way, even your experiences, so that you try and find the key ingredients that return you to that beautiful unconditional love for yourself. Because once you love yourself unconditionally, once you accept yourself as you are and embrace yourself and hug it out with yourself, the world becomes a different reality, and you're able to accept and embrace others and love them as they are.
Okay, I have a few more questions. I hope I can
That's
still keep you
that's
here for a
fine.
little bit. How did you commence? Yeah, I think you mentioned briefly, but can you share with us, like, how did you commence channeling the many light beings, archangels, and ascended
And that's
masters?
a funny story.
Okay.
It was through my mentor, Alania Starhawk, and she had this workshop, on channeling, and I went. And I always call myself, I'm a bit of an antisocial shitbird because I like to be by myself. So everyone was sitting around, it was quite a big group, and they were sitting on chairs in a circle, and I was just sitting on a pillow. Well, Birgitta, don't you want to join us? No, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm where I'm at.
I love it here. Please leave me alone.
And so she did this meditation and she counted to 3.
Mhm.
Well, that was it. I was like,
That was
okay.
it.
And then half an hour later, she counted back from 3 to 1, and I was back in the room. I thought, sugary banana, where the heck did I go? And so
Wow.
she asked everyone, what they'd seen, and many had seen the archangels, the ascended masters, the guides. They had conversations. They saw their totem animals. They got messages. And what did I get? Diddly squat. Nothing. Nada. Niente. I
Niente.
was really upset. I was really
Zilch.
upset. I was sitting in the corner and I was wiping my eyes, with the sleeve of my shirt because I was really upset. I didn't say anything, and so she had an exercise because people always ask me, Brigitte, how did you learn to channel? How does it work? And she said she got out a notepad and a pen, and she just said to spirit, the universe, I'm ready to receive. That's how it worked for her. Now that stuck in my mind. And so when the workshop had finished, I rushed out, hopped into my car, and I went home. That's exactly what I did. Now, the difference with me was, I think at that point I was so exasperated in my head, I wasn't even thinking. I just sat down and I said to Spirit, I'm ready to receive. Please give me a message. And it did. It went, I was just writing and it came out as old English prose. And I didn't really know what I was writing until I looked back at it. And I was so excited. Oh my gosh, I was good at something. And so I did it every single day. It's like when you go to the gym or you learn to ride a bike, right? You need to keep practicing.
Yeah.
And so I did it every single day. And then what I started to do was I started to use my oracle cards, and I would just shuffle them. And whoever came up, whether that was an ascended master or one of the archangels or any other deities, I would just sit with the card and say if they had a message for me. And I just wrote it. I just started writing. I didn't use Google. I just started writing. And that really worked for me. It was very, very powerful. And then, like several weeks later, when I saw Alania again and I showed her my progress, she's like, "You see, all that needed to happen was for me to unblock you so that you could channel again." And I looked at her. I'm like, "Excuse me, but I've never channeled before." And then she looked at me. She's like, "Oh my God."
That's what you've been doing.
Yeah. And so I've never looked back since. I mean, there are questions that I asked, like, one thing that I asked was like, well, should I leave the US or should I stay? And they were like, look, this is not our journey. This is your journey. If we are going to tell you what to do and how to live your life, where is the fun in that? You are the one that has to put the pieces of the puzzle together in order to, walk the path of life. Us telling you the answers is not going to help you. And I thought, well, that's not going to help me. But I had to figure it out. I really, really did. And I left the US with nothing. I was pretty broke until the money, even though the house was a money pit, and when the money came through several months later. But even then, when I went back home or to the UK, it was tough for me because I was in my 40s, and I'm nearly 50 now. But this was
You
6 years ago, and yeah, yeah, but I am.
you don't. Wow. What is your secret, Birgitta?
Jeans. My mom is 73. She doesn't even look it.
Really?
No, she doesn't. She doesn't.
The genes, okay, the genes play a big role.
Yeah, but also what I eat, I do. But I looked around me at that time, and I'm like, I feel like such a failure. I felt like such a failure. That's what I said to my mom. I said, everyone has like a home, a mortgage, they have a job, they've got kids, they're married, and look at me. What the hell have I got? My mom looked at me and she's like, Birgitta, what you have are your life experiences. You've lived in so many countries. You've always found work. You have soldiered on. You have done so much with your life. She's like, so don't look at others, but look at yourself and all that you have achieved. And yeah, that was beautiful. She's right. I think when you have, and when we look at people, because they're married, they've got kids, they've got the house, the mortgage, is that really important? For some people it is. But it's really about making memories and garnering life experiences and becoming more aware of life and what life is all about. Because life is not about just working. It's all work and no play, so to speak, as that's the expression. But in this day and age, everyone is like a gerbil on a burnt out treadmill, because everything is so done by design, even in this technocratic society, all to deviate ourselves away from our own awareness. Because can you take a phone away from someone? No. It's like they're addicted to it. And if I go out in nature, or if I take a walk in the woods, it's like I love the quiet. That's what I love. I mean, growing up in the 80s and even the 90s, in the 80s, there were no mobile phones. It was great because people, lived from the heart. They communicated with one another. Now it's all this stupid texting or, Kindle and everything. I hate texting. I hate writing long emails. Don't have the time for that. Yeah. But it's so much like, people, be real. Just be true to yourself. Ditch the mask. It's something that Saint Germain, the Ascended Master Saint Germain, hammers so much on. It's like, ditch the masks. Just be you. Be raw and authentically you. And we live so much of a fear-based life rather than a love-based life, or we live so much of an egocentric life rather than a self-centric life. It's not self-centered, but I mean a selfless life. It's very selfish the way people live. It's all about me, rather than we.
That's true.
Live as a community, not as a singularity. Live from pour from the cup, as they always say. Pour from your heart with the cup of love, rather than living from an ego-based narrative, because that doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve anyone. And yet people live from the ego because that is all they know. Because, what would happen if we would strip all the conditioning? What would happen if we would heal up? We'd be raw, we'd be naked.
Yeah.
And we start to really live authentically. And people always go to me, well, Birgitta, what does authentic living mean? It simply means that you are you. There are no strings attached, nothing. There's just you. No ego, no masks, and just living an unconditional, unbiased life. That's it. It's not hard. It's just taking the steps to heal, and getting rid of that programming. If you think of, there's the Ascended Master Hilarion, who I love very much too. He's also a healer, works with Archangel Raphael, and he compares it to, well, look, when you when you use conditioner in your hair, what happens? Right? It's very sleek. You can comb through it. But if you do not use the conditioning, it becomes very frizzy and it becomes very you. This is just who you are. So yeah. And when we talk about fear, it means false evidence appearing real, but it also means either you fall endlessly or arise revolutionary. Fear is merely the beta blocker within our minds. It's created because we were born out of love. We are love. That's our divine essence. Fear is merely that smooth criminal, that little gremlin that makes us go. So that just deviates us away from who we truly are.
Felt when you said about being yourself, authentic yourself, because at one point I did ask myself, like, if I were to strip away all my accolades, all my achievements in school, in work, whatever it is, like, who am I?
You're still that beautiful soul, that beautiful light that lights up the world. Because our journey is to become enlightened through many, many lifetimes. I mean, Buddha didn't do it in one lifetime, it took him many, many lifetimes. And whatever we go through, our experiences, hey, take it on the chin. When you've overcome that, I applaud you. I really, really do. What school we've gone to, the universities, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't. What matters is what you decide to do with your life, what you think is important, what makes your heart skip a beat, what makes your soul sing. That is what is important.
Okay, so what is your heart's greatest wish?
My heart's greatest wish, I will always say, to be happy, right? But the happy is the inner state of being. But for me, it's really about inspiring others to awaken to what life is really about. That is why I'm here. And just to backtrack a little bit, it doesn't mean just because I'm a healer, doesn't mean my life is a bed of roses. To get to Spain, to where I am now, it's cost me most of this year. It's cost me, I've gone through experiences this year. I look back and I think, wow, I made it through because I fell back into my old programming. I did. I'll be very, very honest about that, as I just talked to you about that just before the show. It's one of these things where I work like a maniac because I had to. That's the corporate world. It's not what I want to be doing because I really want to, help others.
Yeah.
Help others to heal themselves. But sometimes we need to go through these experiences to make us realize, hey, you know what? This is not what I want. And then I had to move. I moved with having the flu. I couldn't cancel anything. It was yeah. And then I came to the house and it was so filthy. I had to scrub and clean it. But I managed it because I soldiered on. Yes, I lost about 7-8 kilograms along the way, but I am consciously aware of what I have done. So that is the big difference. Rather than just soldiering on and and just tucking those experiences away, it's embracing those experiences and saying, you know what, I know what I'm going through, I understand it, I know what I've done to myself, and I know what I need to do to heal from these experiences. That is the difference.
Well, again, another parallel, because today I was thinking about my life story. You were mentioning. Sorry, my mind is racing right now because I was trying to connect to what I was thinking just today before the interview. Um, how like you, even though, yeah, yeah, no, okay, I'm back in the train. I was just telling again during the conversation with that true friend. I told them like I feel like I want to do. I feel like I I can do it. There is something that I need to do outside, but because I have to pay my bills, I am still attached to my 9 to 5. Like in
Yeah.
tomorrow, I have work and I have presentation I need to prepare. But to be honest, I couldn't care less about the presentation, and I am more excited to be speaking to you rather than prepare for the presentation. But after this call, I would have to sit my ass down and then at least focus for the
Yeah.
next 2 hours to finish it. But it's like, what was your journey? What, are you still working now? Like, how do you move past that? How do you know when to let go? When to basically when to let go and just follow?
It'll be in a couple of months. I know that. So I do know that. It's like my guides at the universe. It's so funny how your podcast is called You're Worthless, and we still every single day we try to find our worth, but we are worth every single penny. We are worth it. We are. Once we value ourselves, and I still struggle sometimes, and that's okay, because we're human, right? That's the thing about it, right? We're human, and human, when we split the word up, you means light, Hue, and men. So we are walking light men, having covered ourselves with the layers of the earthly conditioning, trying to get rid of that of all the layers, returning to that beautiful you of ourselves. So the same with you, Missy. Yes.
Thank you. I am so blessed right now. Like I can't even begin to.
Do you know what I forgot to say? What to do? My light language healing demo.
Oh, what is that?
It's so light language is the thing that I do. I love it. I absolutely love it. Sometimes wake up in the middle of the night, even when I was so stressed, moving here and everything that had happened in the past couple of months. I was just walking up and down the stairs talking in light language, and light language is very healing. So you've got Reiki and other modalities, which is like long distance healing or hands-on healing, but light language healing is something that your soul comprehends. Your mind doesn't understand it at all because it's like gerbil language. But it's ancient and it's very galactic, and it's the many master teachers. They also come through, and it's just very, very healing. And these are light activation codes for your soul. And often what happens is whatever we focus on, whether it's clarity, getting rid of fear, returning to that love for ourselves, getting rid of anxiety, that is exactly what it will activate. Very powerful.
How do I start? Like,
how do you start? Well,
Yeah.
I'll do a small demo. Just tell me what you want to focus on. Clarity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You seem to know what I need. Yeah.
Getting rid of the gunk in your mind for a little bit more clarity.
Yes.
You've got like a little, in your head, it's like, like you have the mailman, and you have the mailman that's sorting all the little pros and cons and putting them in the little archives.
Yeah.
That's part of your mind.
Yeah. That's exactly. That is exactly.
Okay, so we're going to focus on clarity. So I'm going to ask you, so whatever comes out, don't worry, you won't understand it, but your soul will get it just beautifully. So yeah, close your eyes. Take a very deep breath in. Hold it and breathe back out. Take another very deep breath in and breathe back out. And just keep gently breathing in and out. And actually, the light beings have been waiting for a little while. So we're going to focus on clarity and getting rid of the gunk in your mind so that you can think a bit more clearly. And whatever comes through, just allow it to flow through you all the way from your root, not your root, your crown chakra, and wherever it needs to go. I just want you to know that they're putting you in a beautiful crystalline bubble to protect you. Ooh, these are the ancient Star Walker people. See maloya kiti iti imaka titi ala kiti yamasui nikisi ai miki ahai see you ui kiti yama u. Tisi maleka ta ihiti kiti ngasi kiti maluhi usikiti a drushini asiki I. And it's like they're showing me like it's tar in your mind, and they're allowing it, they're flushing it through your system. And just allow it to flow through you, all the gunk through you and straight out through your feet, they're saying, allowing it to be absorbed by Mother Earth, and it will be recycled. Pinkish light, allow it to flow through you, and it's softening your energy. And right now, you're just realigning all your DNA strands. And they gently retreat. And they say the restranding, they call it the rebranding view within, will take place over the next few days. So allow for it to integrate and just allow for yourself to sit within this beautiful, soft, pinkish you. Tuki isi mikita a. And they say whenever you're ready, just take a very deep breath in and open your eyes.
Said star. I was imagining I was meeting with the very, I don't even know if it's the Flintstone or the paleo, the people. And then they were just showing me your North Star, something like that.
Yeah,
But
very different.
What did I do to deserve this?
Sometimes we all need a little bit of help, Nick. That's all right.
You breathe. Oh, I want to give you a
back.
hug.
You're right. Your inner North Star. I talk about inner North Star. They always talk about inner North Star as well. It's funny you mentioned that. It's all about following your inner North Star.
I don't know if it's related to North Node. I did a little bit
Oh,
of
North Node.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's supposed to be my North Node should be in Aquarius, according to my birth chart. So that means helping humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And Aquarius is air sign, therefore speaking, communication.
Yes.
And something about philosophy, something about...
I would throw it under life philosophy.
Yeah, something more than what I came from before.
Yes.
I have never imagined I would be. Because when I was small, I never thought of that. But right now, it's like you are going there, like it or not. That is where you're going. Thank you, Birgitta, for showing me the path.
I'm just one little breadcrumb, you know.
Oh, I will remember this my entire life. You're such a beautiful soul.
So are you.
Thank you. I don't know how to end this right now. It's like, okay, I know we have a key takeaway. I think, I'm going to stop this. I'm going to record and then I'm going to patch them. And then the first one, I'm going to cut it. And then I'm going to ask, like, 2 more questions and then we can close.
That's fine. You
Okay.
cut whatever you want.